in general is that one or two cops are doing bad shit, and then since everybody's wearing a PD uniform, it's automatically inherited by all of PD.
Wait, this means no more V-Star. Los Santos roads are saved now.
Yes,
Shut up.
Approach, please.
Alright, what's up?
I mean, do you even want to be in this department?
I do.
Just without us, is what you're saying.
Permission to speak freely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do not agree with the way that you two were appointed. Moss, I know that we were interviewing you for a role. I know that you were an officer back during the skeleton crew. I don't know what the lapse in the last 8 months were, but to not just myself, I feel like to a lot of officers, you left for 8 months. You didn't really get any sort of like feel for the department. You got appointed chief of police out of everybody within the LSPD and BCSO. Peters, you also got appointed assistant chief with the commander parts that you had and the general attitude that I felt like you had. A lot of people didn't really feel right with that, myself included. And I don't think the mayor should have that much power with the LSPD high command.
Not literally it, and isn't the mayor the boss of the chief of police in every state in the United States of America? I mean, I could be wrong, but
As far as I'm aware, no.
the chief
But
of
I
police
could be wrong
doesn't
with
answer
that
to the
too.
mayor. Yeah. Okay. I mean, okay. So again, what issues do you have with me still?
And I understand that, you know, things happened prior to Peter's being appointed assistant chief. And you've mentioned the Loki stuff, the BCSO, but also the BCSO issues, you know, it was, you know, it's been resolved, and the BCSO and LSPD, I think, have been working very well together. And, you know, again, I understand that you are not privy to conversations between high command, but I can assure you that everything is fine. So what is that it, or is there more, or is this just kind of some kind of bias against him that you have, that, you know, you're only looking at the few things that he's done wrong and ignore all the things that he's been doing right? What can you tell me, like, can you actually,
I mean,
what
I
has
haven't really.
Peter done, what has Peter done right? Like, have you noticed, have you actually looked at any of the things we've accomplished?
I have not seen.
Like, have you paid attention at all to anything that we've done in the last month?
With what you guys have done? Are we are we talking across all three shifts, or are we talking just shift two?
Well, we have to focus on all three shifts. So have you paid attention to anything, or are you solely exclusively focused on shift two?
Hold on, hold this. Even with shift two, let's talk about it here. Did anybody quit, like law enforcement agency, over shift two? I don't think anyone's quit. I'm pretty sure they just put on a different uniform and went up
Dominic Rhodes
north.
quit, but he was going to be fired. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Because, yeah. Because he did that whole thing of, evidence tampering and putting his life and the lives of others in danger and all that stuff. It's rough. But I'm just wondering, like, can you account for anything other than the two things you brought up? Because you seem to be extremely knowledgeable on Peters and have such a extreme opinion about him. So I want to know, what do you know about Peters?
I know very little than what's been told to me, but that's also why I've gone out and had conversations with.
Have you ever tried to go and speak to Peters? Like, hey, I'm a sergeant. Let me talk to you because you're the assistant chief.
I haven't really had a chance to.
Haven't had a chance to, or haven't ever made the choice to? Like, has that ever crossed your mind to go and have a conversation with him? Have you ever reached out to me to have a conversation, or have I had to reach out to you every single time? So when you come up here and say that I don't communicate with you, I'm sorry, that's a load of bullshit.
Well, you're also not my chain of command, ma'am. Usually there's the lieutenant or even the captain.
And has there been a captain or a lieutenant? So I am, in fact, your chain of command. I'm the chief of police, and I have made every effort to try to talk to every single command member to tell them they can come to me with anything, and yet I have to chase you down to see. So, but I'm the one that has the bad communication.
I'm not saying that at all, ma'am. The issues that I
You
brought with you.
literally did say it, though. You did say it. Am I wrong here, Peters? Didn't you say it
Well,
multiple times?
yeah, you kind of did.
Like,
That Moss has
I'm
bad
sorry to
communication?
be I'm sorry to be blunt, but I'm gonna call a spade here. And you have said it now multiple times tonight that I lack communication with you. But when I look at the facts here, uh, I'm the one that has reached out to you every single time. And all I see here is you talking to everybody else, including the sheriff of BCSO. Probably didn't think that he'd talk to us about that, did you? And then get back to my point of people who tend to talk about everybody but actually refuse to talk about the person that they're talking about don't actually want to resolve the problem. So do you actually want to see the LSPD succeed, or do you just want to focus on the negative and focus on how the LSPD is not succeeding?
I mean, to be honest, it sounds like you just want to focus on impeaching us.
How so?
I mean, you literally just told us you're gonna fight for the LSPD and you don't want to see us in power. And then, I mean, between like the jokes with the BCSO, which you were offended on behalf of someone in the BCSO, and then you were offended on behalf of. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just don't like jokes in general, but I mean, I understand. Not everybody has a
It's
sense
fine.
of humor.
Not everybody has to like jokes. It's
You're right.
fine.
No, not everyone has to like jokes. But I don't know. It's kind of just like
We're just trying to figure out like what you actually want. Like, what do you want? Do you want to stay in this department? Because I can tell you right now, I don't think we're going anywhere.
well, the other thing is the only reason you're staying in this department because Bones and Cassidy won't take you.
See, that was unfucking called for. What the hell?
They wouldn't. What you want? I'm speaking the truth now. I'm not making any jokes. That's not uncalled for. I literally had a conversation about them.
Can I ask what happened between? Because you had said something about like a bridge being burnt or something, and I didn't pry, but like, what happened there? Because now I see you got issues with BCSO High Command. You got issues with us. What's happening?
I wouldn't say I have issues with BCSO High Command. Bones and I personally. there was, when he was starting the department, there were some things that were going on. I had lost an officer that was in my academy and then my mentor. I was going through a tough time and it reflected in my police work, but I pushed through it. Bone saw it, saw that dip in that police work and let it fester. I'll admit I probably should have gotten help, but he didn't approach. And I felt like that held me back from growing. And I felt like it was very negative in my career and me helping out with the LSPD. But I also feel like I was lied to with the whole transfer back when BCSO was first getting started. But ma'am,
Did you ever try to talk to them about that? Did you ever try to resolve that issue?
I haven't had the chance to speak to Bones, no.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to shoot you straight here. Just by what you
Am I getting
said,
fired?
you need to start talking to people. You need to start dealing with situations and actually addressing them. Going around and complaining about people and talking to other people, but not actually going to the person and addressing it's causing issues. You need to be direct and you need to address situations, and especially when you were a command member, that is literally the job of command, is to address situations. If you can't do that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I hate to be blunt and I hate to be, like this right now, because I don't like to be like this, but Belle, you're an adult. You got to figure it out. You got to be able to go to people and talk to them and address situations, because things fester, and it is not a good place to be. It's not a good mindset to have. We want people to have fun and be positive, but if you're constantly just avoiding dealing with situations and just allowing things to fester and never get resolution, you can't expect to move forward. Grudges only hurt the person that's holding the grudge. Look, you do whatever you want with the impeachment thing. Like I said, it's your right, I won't talk on that. I'm not it's you do you. But what we need to figure out is, do you belong in the LSPD? Because I'm going to shoot you straight. I don't know. I really don't know. Based on kind of all the conversations we've had, especially the one tonight, I'm very concerned.
Ultimately, that is up to you, ma'am. But
I don't
if I
think it's
do
just
get,
up to us. I think it's also up to you, because I think that we have set expectations, and can you fulfill those expectations? Can you address things head on, and can you actually take, we talked about accountability, you talked about accountability for Peters. I don't see you taking a whole lot of accountability for yourself right now.
how am I not taking account? You demoted me and I didn't say anything about it. I went downstairs and I took a stripe off.
Peters, can you chime in here?
I mean, the whole thing, it's like accountability with what we're getting to. It comes down to, I guess talking about it's like going over resentment and everything that Moss was just doing. It's like, there's these situations from your perspective where you're like, I have all these issues. Peters has all these issues. He's doing all these things, but it sounds like you also have issues. Sorry about that. It sounds like you also have issues that aren't necessarily. So let me ask you this: you're in our position, right? And somebody doesn't
Units
agree with
getting, yeah.
what?
I'm just checking to make sure units are getting to Opal.
Somebody doesn't agree with the calls you're making, and they end up offending one of your friends so much to where somebody offends one of my friends so much to the point where they transfer, and then they just start fucking shit stirring. I then come to you and tell you, I don't know you, but you're doing a horrible job, and I'm gonna impeach you. It's like, what do you do?
Could you repeat that one more time?
Like, okay, so you're in our position. What do you do with this whole situation we're dealing with right now?
Have a little bit more communication with your command.
But you are like the thing is you are command. It's like it's your job to communicate as well. Like why don't you come talk to me? How come these issues are not being brought up to me, but instead you're going to other departments to try to get rid of us? Hey,
Because
what are the issues? What are the hey Peters? These are the fucking issues. This is what you're causing. This is what I don't necessarily agree with. Instead, it's let's go to the other command to see how we could get rid of Peters and Moss. Again, I don't even. It sounds like the only thing that Moss has done is got fucking appointed here. Which don't get me wrong, who wouldn't take her position? I'm gonna be honest. If you got offered chief of police, would you take it?
if I would, yeah, probably at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. So it's like everybody's got a hate boner. For me, I totally understand, but for Moss is going to be trying to do her best. And it's like at this point, it's like whatever is going on is like again, I understand the issues with me, but when it's compound and you're just like, we're going to impeach both of you, it doesn't sound like it's a singular issue. It just sounds like you don't agree with what the mayor did. So what you're going to do, because I don't know, you didn't agree with what he chose, you're just going to try to fucking burn the whole place down.
Respectfully, sir, I wouldn't see that as putting like burning the whole place down.
Right. I know you wouldn't. Okay, so here's the thing. Moss and I get impeached. The mayor then appoints someone new. You do it again?
If I feel like they're a threat towards the LSPD, yeah.
Okay. How am I a threat to the LSPD?
I feel like you have completely burned Shift 2 down.
Okay, how is that a threat to the LSPD? We don't even need a fucking shift two, if I'm being 100%
Okay.
honest
Well,
with you.
I don't really understand, and I don't think it's fair to blame Peters or myself for everything that has happened in Shift 2. At the end of the day, about 5 people transferred, a lot of which were already going to transfer to BCSO the moment that transfers became unfrozen. The only thing that I did was unfreeze transfers because I genuinely think that people should be in the department that they want to be in. And I'm sorry that they want to be in BCSO, but
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I still haven't heard how we've ruined shift two.
When anybody transferred, did you try to talk to them and see why they wanted the transfer? Other than
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did.
well, what did they tell you?
So people, the first, what was it, 3 or 4 transfers ended up telling us like as soon as the transfer went through, like or as soon as Moss was appointed, within a few days people requested for a transfer. So at that point it's kind of like I'm of the firm belief, like, look, if people want to come and have a conversation to figure out what the fuck is going on, or all of this, like whatever is needed from us, like, great, let's have a conversation. The thing is I'm not going to beg people to stay in a department they don't think is going to work. It's just counterproductive because ultimately they then it's like they then think it's going to fail. It's like those people aren't even, oh,
I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather somebody transfer to a department that they genuinely want to be in and they're happy and they keep coming on duty, um, than try to hold somebody back and force them to stay in the LSPD.
I don't even understand how we burnt shift 2 down if they're just going to the BCSO and still patrolling down here. That's what I'm absolutely
there's
baffled
still
over.
plenty of officers on the street, you know, they're just in a different uniform.
I don't understand, like all this kind of like dooming over shift 2. Are people still not coming, like are the people that left here not coming on duty?
There's some that haven't left that aren't coming on duty.
Who's that?
I haven't seen Pike in a while. I know Shields is on LOA. I know Frost is also on vacation.
Pike
But
and Frost, or Pike and Shields, I think they both had their final evals this week.
But
I
there's-
Both
gotta
have been coming on duty.
but there's also Ma I haven't seen in a while. Youngblood I
Ma's
know I just
literally
saw
on
today.
duty today, and we just
Ma was
scheduled
out
his
of
final.
town for a week. He'd let us know he was going to be out of town. That's fine. You know, he had stuff to do out of the city.
And on top of that,
Frost is on an LOA. I think she's probably somewhere off in Russia right now. And yeah, Ma's getting his final eval tomorrow. So I mean, as much as, you know, you think we probably are disconnected from shift 2, we are very aware of everything that's going on in shift 2.
They're really trying to push Bell out.
Look, all I'm going to say is that I know when you get into the doom and, you know, it's very hard to focus on the positives. You know, it's very easy to look at all of the negatives and just think like, oh my god, like look at what's in front of me, look at what has changed. But I also think that there comes a point where you have to actually make a conscious decision of whether or not you want to keep focusing on the bad or you want to start to try to look at the good and the positive. And the good and the positive is that we have a lot of great PPOs that are soon going to be full officer. You know, we are reforming and reshaping our P&T program, which I think is going to in turn really help improve PPOs and cadets experience and really create solid and confident officers. We are in a very unique position within Shift 2, LSPD, in which we actually have the opportunity to take our time to recruit and build up the officer rank with officers that, you know, are going to really contribute to this department. And we have a luxury of the fact that there are lots of officers and deputies out on the street right now, so we don't have to rush the process. As much as easy as it is to look at all the negatives, at some point you have to decide whether or not you want to look at the positives too. And that falls on the person to do it. Like, we can stand here and tell, you know, till we're blue in the face telling you, you know, all of these things, but it comes down to you whether or not you want to continue to look at everything that you think is going wrong, or you want to take a step back and look at what is right, or what is going right, or what could be going right. And that is where that, you know, where I talk about, you know, kind of removing yourself from the bullshit and trying to be positive comes into play. Positivity a lot of times is a choice.
I don't think you'll find an example of me being negative out on scene at all.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's all I have for now. Peters, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Any issues in the future, I will be sure to try to get a hold of you as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right. With that, I'm gonna head to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Good night.
Good night.
They are trying so hard to get Bell to transfer. Honestly, having Bell, like, have Bell be one of the few people to stand up for what she believes in and not balk and transfer. Hey, I'd love to help you out, but I can't, sorry.
No worries, bro. Yeah, I gotcha.
No, I know they want her to be positive. Like, I know they want Belle to be positive, and I honestly feel like we have been doing Belle as pretty positive on scene. Oh my good lord. This is harassment at this point.
Very good. Okay, I will. Is it something that I could deal with in the morning, or do I need to look at it right now? Okay. Will you remind me? Will you remind me? And I will also come up for a punishment outside of DAPS because I don't want to DAP you for the sake of being DAP. I'd rather be proactive. Like, okay, yeah, I got your back. And listen, I will always tell you that I appreciate you being around on duty. By the way, I'm never gonna Cassidy your ass. You know. Yeah, no problem. All right, Opal. Later. Hey, will you come forward? Sorry, we keep doing this. We're thinking about just sending it away and doing it all over again. That being said, we actually need to evaluate your employment here at this time. So we are going to be suspending you per a review, and we will get in touch with you to figure out what's going on.
Okay. Alright, I will put my stuff up in the locker.
Okay, thank you.